Hey, what's up? My name's Justin. Welcome to 65 Drums. Today I want to talk about the 5 new drum sets from Roland that recently came out. I recently flew out to California, went to the Roland headquarters, and got a chance to play all of them. So the plan for this video is just to do a broad overview of all 5 drum sets. I'm going to go really in depth on individual drum sets in future videos, so subscribe if you haven't already. I'll do like a first impressions of the TD17KL and the TD25KVX and all that stuff. So with that being said, let's jump over to the cheapest drum set on the list, the Roland TD17KL. Not exactly sure why Roland keeps like adding letters onto the names of the drum sets. It's already hard enough to remember all 50 different versions of their current lineup, but whatever. This is the brand new drum set, and this is actually pretty darn cool. So it's still at $1,000, just like the Roland TD11K that it's replacing, and it has a lot of similar components too. But as you can see, both of them have the exact same toms, the exact same cymbals, the CY8 crash and ride, and the exact same CY5 hi-hat right there. Same drum rack. What's different here is the new drum module, the new kick drum pad, and this not really new, but new to us, hi-hat controller pedal. This is the FD9. It's only been on some like really obscure Roland drum sets that no one really owns, like the Roland TD1 KPX2, stuff like that. No one really owns that stuff. It's been sold standalone, but this is the first time Roland's really been putting it in major drum sets that everyone's probably gonna buy. The pedal itself is very sensitive. It's an upgrade over the pedals that they've used before in their drum set, so I'm happy that this exists. Moving over to the kick drum pad, this is a brand new kick drum pad. It's supposed to be a little bit quieter, and also they changed up the center of gravity and stuff, so it doesn't move as much. The previous version, the KT9, the KD9, that thing moved around too much. I know some people never had any issues with it moving. I personally had issues like all the time when I was playing it at different stores and demos and stuff. I just had problems with it. With this one, it is a pretty sturdy kick drum pad. It feels pretty similar, maybe a little bit better. It's not terribly loud, but of course it is a kick drum pad, so there will be volume. Has a very nice feel. It's like a spongy feel to it, so it's not just a rubber pad. It like your kick drum beater actually sinks into it a little bit as you're playing. And looking at the rim, that circle around the pad, you'd think that would just be like a hard plastic, but even that is like a really rigid rubber that bends when you pinch it or whatever. Moving on to the star of the show, we have the TD17L drum module. Now I want to emphasize that this is the L model because this one doesn't have Bluetooth. So on the cheaper version, the $1,000 kit, this one doesn't have Bluetooth connectivity to your phone. The other 2 drum sets in the TD17 lineup do. The drum modules are all identical, it's just that some have the Bluetooth function, others don't. The TD17 drum module has 310 drum sounds and 50 kits. And then of course 50 empty slots so that you can like create your own custom kits. And just like pretty much every other drum set at this price point, unfortunately, it does have the cable snake, but it does give you 2 extra individual inputs so you can plug in an extra crash and an extra floor tom if you want to. The whole design of the drum module is a little bit funky because you have this central like wheel to scroll around between kits, and then you have all these buttons that go around it in a circle. As far as like the overall layout of the drum module, it's pretty simple. You can figure out how to get around, and thank goodness they actually let you layer sounds inside of this drum module and import one-shot samples. This is a pretty big deal because in the past, a lot of drummers have been pretty angry that Roland never let them layer sounds or import samples. And I actually talked to someone over there, and the reason that I was given is that Roland's #1 priority isn't like, layering sounds and stuff like that, like sound quality and stuff like that. Their #1 priority is always low latency. Every company has different priorities. Roland is always about low latency. They're trying to get to like 3 milliseconds or less always. And if you're layering sounds and importing one-shot samples and stuff, back in 2012 when the TD11 came out, back in 2012 with the technology they were working with, they couldn't actually let you do that and get low latency. There are other companies that let you import, one-shot samples and layer stuff, but their latency is like 7 milliseconds. So since Roland cares about latency more than most companies, they didn't let you import samples and stuff like that until now, because 2018 technology, who knew, is a little bit better than 2012 technology. Okay, so that wraps up the Roland TD17KL for $1,000. Moving on to the next drum set, we have the TD17KV for $1,200. So this drum set for $200, you're actually getting a lot for that $200. You're getting all mesh toms, and then you're getting a large snare drum pad. This has got a 12-inch playing surface, which is a pretty big deal for Roland. In the past, they would never give you a pad that large for this price. And they're being forced to start making moves because competition's rising in the market. This is the brand new PDX12, 12-inch playing surface. They've made it so that the distance between the rim and the drum head is the same distance as like an acoustic snare. So that's pretty important. There's not like a giant gap that you might think would exist because of the rubber rim. Very fun to play on. The hot spotting thing isn't really a thing on this pad because the trigger is actually side mounted right there, out of the way. You don't really hit right there with the tip of your drumstick. And even if you do hit there on purpose, I tested that. I'll go more in depth in my individual videos on this. But even if you hit exactly on the sensor, this hot spotting isn't really bad. So really nice pad. The shell itself looks a little bit funky, but it's a nice pad overall, very lightweight. If you buy it separately, I believe it's selling for about $200. Okay, so apart from the snare drum pad and the mesh tom pads, the difference between this one and the other version is that this one has Bluetooth connectivity. I'm really happy about this feature because it's one less wire that you have to worry about. You don't have to plug a cable from the aux port and then find like an adapter. And then for me, I don't have a headphone jack on my phone, so I have to get the lightning adapter, and it's just easier and simpler to use Bluetooth instead of an aux cable. Moving on to the next drum set, we have the TD17 KVX for $1,600. So this drum set gives you 2 crash cymbals, a 3-zone ride cymbal, all mesh pads, and then a hi-hat on the stand. Let's talk about the hi-hat first because it's the major upgrade on this drum set. This is the VH10. This is a one-piece hi-hat with a controller underneath on a dedicated hi-hat stand. Unfortunately, you do have to buy that hi-hat stand separately, so just keep in mind if you want to buy this kit, you have to spend an extra $100 on a hi-hat stand. Keep that in mind. And of course, none of these Roland drum sets come with a kick drum pedal either, unless you buy on a special sale. So the VH10 hi-hat is very good. It's a little bit lighter than the VH11. They made it a few ounces lighter, moves a little bit easier on the hi-hat stand, and the controller piece feels a little bit lighter. Like there's more plastic and it's a little more lightweight. It's a very nice hi-hat. Costs $300 separately if you want to buy it as an upgrade to your TD11 or TD15 that you have at home. That's about the price of a regular acoustic set of hi-hats. And I wish that there was a better alternative from some other company for $300, but no one makes really good hi-hats other than Roland and ATV that are on hi-hat stands. Unless, of course, you count Yamaha, but Yamaha hi-hats only work on Yamaha drum modules, unfortunately. This was the most fun to play on because just the fact that you have the 2 crash cymbals and the hi-hat on the stand, it's just a nice combination. The large 12-inch playing surface on the snare, just a great drum set for $1,600. Now with this video, I don't really want to go in really in-depth comparisons against, Cat Percussion and Yamaha and Alesis, but for $1,000, $1,200, and $1,600, I don't really see many other options that can compete with the TD17 line. And that really should be the case because when you have an electronic component from 2015 versus an electronic component from 2018, the one that's newest usually should be the best, and thankfully that's the case here. So as you can tell, I really do like the TD17 line. I feel like they're priced well. I like the new pads. The larger snare pad is a big deal when you sit down to play it versus the older pads that they had. This is a nice upgrade. I like the VH10 hi-hats, probably my favorite new pad. The new kick drum pad's nice. The fact that they're taking that FD9 hi-hat controller pedal and putting it on these drum sets, that's a nice upgrade as well. So I do like the way this whole lineup is shaping up. Now, talking about the sounds for a second, this is where a lot of controversy is happening. I've seen this online. Some people really don't like the way the TD17 sounds. And I get that. The Roland TD17 module is a Roland drum module. Roland always has this like stylized acoustic sound. It's not like photorealistic. They're using real samples and stuff, but it always has like this stylized sound to it. You either like it or you don't like it, and that's going to be up to you. I'm on the side where I do like the sounds. I was listening to it with music and like I saw it like being demonstrated live. And so I got more of a like a context on how this actually works with music and actually playing it through nice headphones, not just seeing the announcement video on an iPhone speaker. I actually got to try it out. And I like it. I think the way it sounds is very good. I do like it a lot. They're taking sounds from the TD50 pretty much and just putting it on a mid-tier drum set. But of course, just because I like it doesn't necessarily make me right. Sound is a very subjective thing. Everyone has a different perception of what's good and what's bad. If you don't like the way the TD17 module sounds, that's fine. Don't buy it. The cool thing about today is that we can listen to sound examples. We know exactly what we're going to buy before we buy it. So if you like the way it sounds, buy it. If you don't like the way it sounds, then don't buy it. It's not for everybody. If I had to choose one weakness inside of the drum module, I would have to say that I wish some of the hi-hats were a little bit better. Roland always likes the sound of like small, tight hi-hats. I like to have like larger, like darker 15-inch, 17-inch hi-hats. I feel like those sound pretty darn sweet. And I wish they had more of like the larger sounding hi-hats. I do realize I can tune the hi-hats down and adjust the EQ, which I did not really mess around much with when I was like testing out the drums. But I wish just like the stock sounds had a few larger hi-hats. I feel like that's the only weak spot in the sound lineup, really. Okay, so enough about the TD17. I've talked about that enough. I'll be more in-depth in future videos. Let's move on to the next drum set on the list. The one drum set I had no idea was coming. Like, a lot of people told me that the TD17 was coming out. I think I had like 4 different people at least like message me or email me and tell me that it was on the way. But no one knew that the TD25 KVX was coming. So this is the drum set right here. I got to play it. This drum set is very, very fun. Unfortunately, we don't have any pricing yet. So I'm going to hold back telling you whether or not it's a good drum set or a bad drum set because that really depends on the pricing. And it's really hard to tell what Roland will price it at. The good thing is they have an 18-inch kick drum right here. Very solid to play on. It's got the KD A22 type conversion kick drum package on it. Very fun to play. This thing is like a rock. It does not move around. Aside from the kick drum, my other favorite pad, of course, is that brand new snare. It's not really a brand new snare, actually. I think they grabbed it from the Roland TD30 line and used it as a snare on this drum set. I like it because you can actually change out the shell wrap and it just looks way nicer. It's a cool look with this whole drum set. You could use this on stage. Not in like a giant arena or something, but you could definitely use this on medium-sized stages. It's got a nice stage presence. The only thing holding this drum set back, unfortunately, very fun to play, looks nice. The only thing holding it back is the fact that it's using a TD25 drum module. And that's the only thing that makes me conflicted about this drum set, because you have a drum set right here that's on the verge of being flagship territory. Like it's right there, right below flagship territory. The fact that it's got a TD25 drum module kind of holds it back. Remember, the TD25 is based on the TD30 sounds. So you have the step-down version, the TD17, that's based on the TD50 sounds. You have a more expensive drum set that's based on the TD30. So this drum set, the TD25 line, is in a very strange position right here. I'll go more in-depth on my thoughts on this in a dedicated versus video, TD17 versus TD25. So this versus the A-Drums drum set, that's also going to be a really interesting comparison too. I like playing this. I feel like the only weakness is the fact that it's using a TD25 drum module. I wish they actually just put a TD30 drum module. If this had a TD30 drum module, I would be a really big fan of this. But it's a very fun drum set to play. It looks nice. I just feel a little bit conflicted on it. All right, so moving on to the last drum set on the list, we have the Roland TD50 KVX. Now, if this looks familiar, it's because it's pretty much a drum set we've already seen, but was never really an official part of the Roland lineup. So going back to 2016, I'm going to try to explain the strange origins of this drum set. I actually talked to some people about this. Remember back in 2016 when they first announced the TD50 KV and we saw this commercial with this guy in a white room playing this TD50 KV drum set and had the giant 22-inch bass drum and it looked amazing. And we were all excited that Roland was finally going to give us an acoustic-sized kick drum. Remember that? And then we realized that no, it was actually just going to come with the standard kick drum pad. This whole like commercial was just for looks to get people excited, and it was a limited run. Like I don't know how many drum sets they sold with this, maybe a couple of hundred or something. And it was just a limited edition run. It wasn't really an official part of their lineup. It was a limited time thing, okay? Just in North America. They only sold it in North America. So that sort of runs out. it's harder to find that version of the drum set now, okay? So everyone was kind of sad, at least I was, because I like the idea of having the kick drum and stuff. Apparently, all along, Roland was planning on making the TD50 KVX. They just had to find a relationship with the right supplier to get the kick drum shells, because Roland doesn't make 22-inch bass drum kick drum shells. They don't make that sort of stuff. They have to get it through a third-party supplier, and they had to go like form a relationship with some other company to get those shells, like high-quality shells, and then, you know, wrap them and then put the components and stuff inside. So that's why there was this disconnect where they had the limited edition run, and then now they finally have it as like an official part of their lineup with a different shell from a different source. It's going to be ridiculously expensive, but hey, it's an option for people that buy Bentleys and Lamborghinis. Those are my thoughts on the 5 brand new drum sets from Roland. Some of them are just, you know, tweaks on the formula, like the TD50 KVX, and other ones are brand new, like the TD17 line. I like the TD17 line. I'm conflicted about the TD25. And the TD51, we've already seen it before, but now it's an official drum set, and it's for people that are like, you know, make 6 figures and they work for corporations and stuff. The 5 people out there like that. So yeah, really excited. I got to play a ton of drum sets. Keep tuned to the channel if you want to know more details. Remember to subscribe. I'm going to do individual videos and comparisons later on throughout the week and next week and maybe the week after that. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think of this drum set as well. I want to know your thoughts, your opinions on this whole lineup from Roland. Whether you like it or whether you hate them, I want to know. I also want to give a big shout out to Patreon supporter Michelle Thomas. Thank you so much for helping the channel become better and stronger. Really do appreciate it. Hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you in a few.